this is Dana, and in this video, God asked me to talk about the focus of the spiritual fighting. Basically, how God actually said, explain how to get through this, yeah, through all this spiritual fighting, which is extremely broad and diverse and intense and so on. And I thought about it, what to say. And I told God, I said, I want to say this. I want to say about the focus. And in the end, God confirmed that this is what I should talk about. So I will talk about the focus. So you get through this. Most of people call it awakening. I will call them revelations mostly. So when you start to learn about all of this, each individual is at a different level. Let's say this first. Each individual is a different level, knowing more or less of all of this. Some people don't know anything about all of this spiritual fighting, which is ongoing all your life. Yeah, I said this in a previous video, that they start rituals on you since you are a child with a baptism. Yeah, so some of us do not know anything for most of our lives, yeah, so far. And it's gonna come as a total surprise when things start to be revealed. Things start to be revealed to you as God decides in divine timing that it is your time to start your fight. When basically you cannot be in a survival mode anymore. You have, because it's too dangerous, or because something important that you have to do for your own good, but also for the good of everyone, has to be done then. It's divine timing then to be done. So it depends from individual to individual. It's not the same for everyone. Some people know some information from this, but not enough. So for everybody, it will come in different ways. This so-called awakening. I don't like to call it awakening. I think it's just the decision by divine when you should learn about what is going on. And then you have to make a decision how you start fighting. Yeah, because I'm talking to those who are interested to fight for themselves and for their purpose. And basically, what my message to this is that the awakening consists of you understanding that the focus that you had all your life, the definitions and the understanding of things are wrong, are complete lies, deceptions, and that you've been taught to go to work, to go to 9 to 5 work, as it's called, regardless how much time you spend there, to have a family, to have friends, to have fun, and to have children and to have a nice life. But that's not the purpose. This is not why we came here. Yeah. The focus is for you to achieve, to understand that you have a divine purpose. It's a 5D, the divine logic purpose, and this is why you were sent here in incarnation in 3D. Yeah, and you have to understand what is your purpose, what is your divine purpose, what is the 5D purpose for which you came here. All you know about how life should come about, it's a 3D concept which is based on deception. And it's very important to understand early on that most important people for you usually come as a bondage. Either that they work for them and are sent to you, or recruited and paid to create this deception for you, and to keep you blindfolded, not to understand how to what is going on. or that they come as a bondage, that meaning that you have been in previous lifetimes in different type of relation, and now you incarnated to break whatever type of karma or karmic situation was between you. So it can also come with a bondage, namely that an embodiment was created on you by darkness, and those individuals are part of that scenario which is created for you to live. Yeah. So it might be that both of you are being deceived. It's important to understand that the entire logic, so that means, let me emphasize this, that means that including your husband, wife, children, parents, everybody, that means everybody, and especially those close to you. Yeah. And there's been a lot, I made a video in which I explained that there's been a lot of abductions of children upon birth, swamping children upon birth, because if you have divine rights as royalty, for example, you are very valuable to them. You have no clue, but you are very valuable to them because they have a lot that they created in their system based on your rights. So if you wake up, for them it's really bad. Yeah. So this is why they fight so badly, and they gain a lot of advantages based on this. Anyhow, bottom line for me is that when you understand at least part of this information, now you have to focus on the 5D purpose. So you have to shift the focus. You've been focused all your life on a 3D perception of what is going on, and then you have to switch to a 5D to understand and to learn about what's your purpose, what are your abilities, your gifts, and so on. So you have to have a very much a problem solution type of approach. So this is the problem, now let's find the solution. The solution is the bondage breaking, obviously, and ascension, but you have to focus on that, and it's not easy to focus on that while you are being attacked. However, what I want to say is that if you focus on 5D, what is happening, you zoom out from those attacks, you depersonalize the situation, because it's very difficult to cope with a situation in which individuals to whom you never done anything wrong, they keep doing wrong things to you, and they keep harassing you and doing harm to you, and slandering your name, speaking in your name, impersonating you to frame you, to set you up, and to denigrate you, and smearing campaigns and stuff like this. So of course it's very difficult, and this is detrimental to you because it creates a frustration, and it accesses your emotional energy body, and it doesn't help you very much in spiritual fighting. This is why I say you have to zoom out. You have to do macro management, not micromanagement. So you have to focus on the 5D perception of things and understanding in such a way, so I could say not to take it personally, but it's not correct. Of course you take it personally, because many of them, as I said, are mercenaries, and they do it for money, and they know very clearly that it's wrong what they're doing. But to depersonalize it in a different sense, in the sense that you understand that this is a strategy which they have on everyone. It's not just you. It's on everyone. It's basically, I could say it because I finished, I graduated a military school. I could say that we are in a war situation, and some individuals decide not to ascend. They will actually say to you, this is 3D, we don't want God, they are against God. Of course, they will have to grow up out of this and break the bondage, but it takes longer for them. So we are in a war situation, and they are the enemy, and you are in a different camp. So it's a war, basically. You have to look at it from a higher perspective in this way. from a macro management position, and to understand that, okay, we are in a war. Of course, in a war there are two camps, and people shoot at each other, and you just have to respect the rules of war. Yeah, I explained in previous video that 3D is like a frozen conflict. It's like a territory which they took dominion on, and they basically want to create something similar to 5D, hence the saying that what is above so is below, because they want to create a mirror of what is in 5D, but not by creating, but by stealing your rights, your divine rights to resources, your divine rights to knowledge, and so on and so forth. They could gain this knowledge if they would try to ascend, you know, because I said this to God many times. I said, listen, man, they're working so hard to attack me. I'm mesmerized sometimes, and I keep looking, and I'm like, if they would put the same effort into themselves instead of harming me, they would have ascended by now. It's unbelievable, but they choose not to. So for this reason, again, this is the problem. The solution is to focus on 5D divine purpose for you. Yeah, and when I say focus, I mean focus. Yeah, so you keep your mind on that at all times, especially during hard times. Again, I explained we are in a very complicated timing, because Yalta agreement, or whatever name it's gonna get this time, but the type of agreement as in Yalta of balance of power and division of power on global level, it's being negotiated in this spiritual world, which is ongoing, and many times it's a war unseen, but it's not necessarily unseen, it's just covered up in darkness so you don't see it. This is why they fight so hard to annihilate us. And it will divide again, it will change borders, and it will create a global governance which focuses essentially on domination of the territory. And this is becoming more and more intense for a few reasons. One is because resources are needed, and they want to shift borders, they want to shift to get positions and divine rights, and they don't have divine rights over those resources. They don't have divine rights to be leaders, of course, for a very good reason, because this is what they do with the resources and with the rights. They do harm on others. So for this reason, for them it becomes critical now, and they are getting impatient to achieving whatever they put in mind regarding you. Yeah, because they created all this by stealing your rights, so they actually need you, so they need to make sure that you will not awaken. So this is very important to understand. This is one thing. Another thing is that already a lot of steps and a lot of energy upgrades were done, and for this reason a lot of dark forces were rolled back. For this reason, basically, dark forces are very aggressive, because these are forces which have been feeding on us for very long. We've been fighting, and we've been cutting them off, and it's like you take drugs from a drug addict. You know, this is how it happens. So it's a time of very intense confrontation. Yeah. Now the goal, because I said we need to, in this context, your goal, your purpose, your focus must be on bondage breaking and on healing. Literally, that means elevation and ascension. Yeah. We came here with a certain purpose, each of us different purpose. We came here to break these bondages, which many times, I said in a video, were created on other individuals, not on us. in this particular time, many in my generation, and especially in the younger generations, are incarnated for the first time, and we are old souls which came here specifically to break the bondages of those who cannot break bondage, because we don't have time to wait for them anymore, or some others don't want to break that bondage because they don't want to fight, they chose to be on the other side. So sometimes these bondages were not created on you. However, this is a karma, fake karma, which they create on you, but you still have to break all the generational curses, all this. You have to do it because this is why you came. This is your purpose. Again, you have to redefine, and this is a work you need to do on yourself, to redefine the focus and the understanding of why you're here. You did not come here to stay and enjoy life. You did not come here to have wrong thoughts which church and other individuals are promoting, namely that everybody has to die, everybody has to reincarnate. No, you don't have to reincarnate. You have to break bondage and ascend. We incarnate only to come and break the bondage which they create. And many times there are individuals, identities who are trapped. As I said, spirits which are trapped. They didn't choose, they were just trapped and tricked into becoming a slave and being in their power. So we came here to do this. And each individual will have a dialogue with the divine realm and will understand exactly, okay, bondage breaking, but what type of bondage I need to break, yeah? And you will see this is always a very personal thing between you and the divine realm. You can get help, indeed, from different experts in energy healing and so on, but that is very costly, and it should be very costly, because it's a lot of work, and anyone that helps you basically has to go through confrontation with the darkness themselves because of you, because darkness, if I help you to cut off darkness, that darkness will come after me as well. So for me to accept to go through this, it has to be costly, because there are costs involved. So for this reason, mostly you are gonna have to do it yourself. Plus, you cannot trust people. You don't know if somebody sent them in order to mislead you and send you in a wrong direction, and so on. Yeah, some might do it on purpose, or some might do it even because they themselves don't know. You know. Now all their plans, everything they created, even statehood, there are many states which are do not have statehood rights, don't have divine rights for statehood. Yeah, borders created without divine rights, only by stealing your identity through doppelgangers. Yeah, and all of this rests only on the bondages they created, yeah, on individuals, but also bondages are created on countries. Sacrifices and rituals of sacrifices are done on countries as well, not only on individuals, yeah. And energy of bondages created on countries can be read. You go in certain countries and you can read the energy of the events that took place there. And there is a collective karma that you pay for everybody that is part of that country if this bondage is not broken. This is actually, as I said before, this is part of my PhD thesis. And I wrote also some articles in which you can see how I give examples of reading bondages on countries and collective karma and so on and so forth. So I studied this in all countries where I've been. I've been in 34 or 35 countries in my spiritual journeys, and everywhere I did this research Again, it's an individual level, and it's also a state level, but it's also multiple different type of levels, basically regional level, group level, and so on. There's also an issue of difference of the race, because not everybody is the same race. You have Sirius, you have Pleiadians, you have Orions. Each of the races has different purpose according to the gifts they have, in regards to what type of bondage they need to break themselves, but also in regards to what type of good deeds they need to do in the world in order to help the humankind as a whole to ascend. So it's much more complicated. It's not just this spiritual fighting of your own, yeah. So again, they use bondages in order to steal rights and basically to steal the resources, access to resources, and authority over territory, over the people in that territory, and over the resources. And these bondages must be broken. This is the focus, yeah. So this is the focus. This, what I described now, is the focus basically of once you awake and you start to receive revelations and to see, you can claim justice, judgment, and punishment, and God will come and will reveal everything to you. You must do this because there is huge pressure. The fact that God asked me to talk about these things, which normally I didn't make public for a long time, that shows me that it's very intense. I can also see it in the attacks which I go through as well. Yeah. So this is the focus, and you must focus on this. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Imagine like a war situation where some of your colleagues have been taken hostage, and you are going back in the theater of operations, and you go there in order to take them home. Yeah, this is how I see things. Yeah, so this is why you came in 3D. This is very important to understand. Now this is the focus. You must keep on focus, and you must redefine all the understanding, all the definition of most terms that you use. This will help you also in your own spiritual fighting, in encountering attacks and so on, because once you redefine and you look at things from a macro management, once you look at things from a higher perspective, you place importance on totally different things. And I'll give you some examples. God says, give some examples. I resigned in 2018 because of this, because of these spiritual attacks which people from my workplace were involved in. They were claiming to have authority on me through my job, because they put this hidden information in your work contract, and they consider you a slave, and they sell your rights to different people. So I had, in order to go through some very harsh attacks, because it was too much, and I had absolutely no knowledge of all of this at the time. I had to resign. I didn't have an option, actually, as long as I decided to fight. The only choice I could make was this: if I fight or I don't fight. I, of course, made the choice to fight, so then I had to resign. I had no other option. Normally, being without my job, especially since I invested 27 years and I had a very high level of expertise, appreciation professionally, already a professional reputation, because I proved myself in so many circumstances, and it would have been very complicated for me, and I would have seen this resignation totally different in a different context. Now, in this context, looking from a higher perspective, I understood that this is the way in order to preserve my energy awareness. Yeah. So for this reason, I had to resign. Of course, it it wasn't, and it still isn't, comfortable to live without an income. But you have to make a choice, and you have to have a higher perspective over things. You have to redefine the meaning of it. Yeah. I'll give you another example. Just before that, some years before that, it was clear to me that something is very wrong. Yeah. So I took a few steps back, and I kept observing everyone, and I said, I want to understand what is going on, because something is going on, and somebody has an agenda which I don't understand. And it was related. I understood this from many situations. I'll give you just one example. I was in my workplace, and I had a very young boss who was not from MFA. He was from MOD, transferred to MFA, and he was asking me to do very wrong things. Like, for example, part of the job related to diplomacy is that when you speak in international organizations, you have to have a mandate. Even if you speak with another diplomat or authority there, you still have to have a mandate, and the position which you express must be approved by superiors back home. And he was asking me to send mandate to Brussels, EU, based on an email he received from somebody from Brussels, and I kept explaining to him. I was in good faith, so I was explaining to him, the national mandate has to represent the view of the Romanian government. You cannot be sending colleagues from Brussels to go ask their interlocutors what kind of mandate to require, and you cannot tell me to send mandate to them according to what they tell me through an email. Because this is not how it's done. This is not the procedure. The procedure is we meet different institutions, MOD and other institutions, Intel institutions. We negotiate a national position. We all agree on something, and then we get approval from all our superiors, and then we send it to Brussels. Yeah, so it has to represent the Romanian position. Yeah. And he was saying, no, I'm friends with this, with the French guy, I'm friends with this one, and you have to send like, and this is breaking a procedure in a very bad way, yeah? So this was, to me, was like shocking. I didn't do that, of course. I actually, he kept yelling at me. He was very angry and extremely aggressive, abusive, verbally abusive. And he kept saying to me, I gave you an order. You have to do this. I gave you an order. And at the time, I said this to him. I said, listen, I know you come from MOD. Maybe you give orders at the MOD. Here is MFA. Here you don't give orders. You make decision. You're just a director. You're civilian here. And you make a decision. And me as an expert on this file, knowing the procedures, because I wrote some of these procedures when I was doing institutional reform, yeah? And so I have the right to contest your decision. If I decide that you made the wrong decision, I have the right to go to your superior and talk to them, because I'm not going to allow you to force me to do this, which is illegal. It's illegal. I'm not going to send a mandate to my representative in Brussels according to the desire of his interlocutor. It is a part of the procedure for the guy in Brussels to send back an information to me and to say, look, I discussed with the French guy and he suggested that this should be our common view. Yeah, but still the mandate is being discussed and approved in Romania because it's supposed to represent the country. Yeah. And he kept yelling at me, no, you have to do what as I say. So in the end, basically, to close this up, I sent an email to everyone in which was supposed to approve this, and I said, this is the position that has been suggested, so and so and so and so. And essentially, of course, we got into a scandal. We got into a fight because the director got very angry. Why you told this state secretary and this director general and this about this position, because they were supposed to approve it according to the procedure. I told you this is why. And since you forced me to send it to Brussels, of course, at least I have to make sure that. And I told him, you either want to set me up to fall, or you work for somebody else. I don't understand you. What is going on? You don't work for the Romanian government. What is going on here? Anyhow, I'm just showing you. So there were a lot of things which were very wrong, and to my dismay, I was the only one objecting. Everybody was following what he was saying. Nobody was contradicting him, and nobody was bothering him. Everybody was doing exactly what he was saying. So this to me was like, wow, why is this happening? Who has what agenda? And many other situations like this, you know. And as you start your so I was observing from a distance, and I was trying to understand, but because of this I decided to take a step back, to reject advancement, promotion and so on, until I understand who I'm working with. So I decided to move outside the city. I bought a house. I sold my apartment and I bought a house in an area where there were no houses. There were just 2 houses, 3 houses, but around my property there was no house. Yeah, and there was not even a road when I moved here. You know, it was really like in wilderness. You know, on the margin of a lake, on a shore of a lake, and then after a few months, these individuals, who later on I learned they are part of the convent, and they were trying to trap me and to isolate me. They were trying to isolate me, you know, and they kept saying this, that we isolated you, nobody can help you here, and I'm like, this is what I mean by changing the definition. This is stupid, because I chose to isolate myself because I needed space and distance, and because of was a very bad energy both at MFA and in Bucharest as well. And I needed space. Lucky needed space. We needed to have a different type of energy around us. So basically, something that they meant to be frightening, you redefine it according to your own needs and the needs of your fight. And the needs of your fight, it is to be isolated, because if you carry on spiritual fighting in certain stages, before you cut off certain attachments which they put on you, they will use third-party attacks. Do you know what it means to live in a block and for them to send sorcery spirits to all your neighbors in that block, for everybody to aggress you? That's destruction. That's complete destruction. So there are specific phases of your spiritual fighting when you will need to go into isolation. For this reason, because they will use everybody against you, either by recruiting them against you, or by literally just programming them by darkness to aggress you, you know. And it's not easy when so many people aggress you constantly every day. Yeah, so it's you redefine the meaning and your own goals. Yeah, you redefine. Normally isolation, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to live in isolation, but there are certain moments when it's important. And so they thought this is gonna frighten me, but it wasn't frightening me. It was actually, for me, at that phase in my spiritual fighting, it was beneficial to me to be isolated, and it was my choice to isolate myself. Yeah, and this is another key. Redefining terms is one key, and another key is to success in this is for them not to know you. This is very important, to carry on as much as you can, for them not to know you, not to know things about you, what's important to you, how you react to certain things. And it, for them, for example, they thought isolation is gonna scare me, but they didn't understand that actually, as I said in the previous video, all my life I lived a very intense life, and I worked a lot, and I encountered intense situations and many people. So I needed the space. For me, they didn't understand that this is not something that I will feel okay with. They thought it's gonna harm me and it's gonna just put me in some sort of desperation. It was not, and this was to my advantage, you know. Then they, for example, they do this bullying stuff. I told you about some neighbors across the street and next door who actually, if I open my window, they start yelling at me in all sorts of insults. And if I'm in the courtyard as well, if I'm on the street as well. But to me, it's like, look, I came here to have peace. You all came after me, yeah, and you came to attack me. I know you are in a convent. I know you are paid to attack me, yeah. You know I know these things. So how the fuck you think that I would be impressed that you start yelling at me insults? But I know that you get money in order to do this. How stupid you need to be. Of course it's insulting and it's bothering me, but it bothers me as a behavior, but otherwise it doesn't have any value to me, because I know you're stupid and I know you're a mercenary paid to do this. So it doesn't have a value to me, what you're doing. It doesn't harm me. Of course, it's bothering and it's not acceptable, and I will fight against it, and I will hold you accountable, and I will claim punishment against you, because I do not accept disrespect like this. But it's not gonna harm me the way you want it to harm me. I'm not gonna get depressed because you say stupid stuff about me. I'm gonna get justice. This is what I'm gonna get. Yeah. Redefining terms, of them not knowing what is important for you, this also is important. It's another key. And I'm gonna stop now because it's 37 minutes, and I will say that the last word that I want to say is that another extremely important key in this is to claim justice, judgment, and punishment. This is very important, because many times many things that are done in your name by doppelgangers in order for many reasons. Some want to frame you. They will try to put you in jail. They will try to harm you. They will try to set you up with sending authorities against you. They will try to send people against you. They will impersonate you. They will lie. They will say that you said or done things which you didn't. Or they will do harm to you and provoke you in order to say something, and they will present untrue depiction of the situation, not telling what they did, but only saying that you started to say something, not explaining that you were in a self-defense situation against something they were doing, but saying that you out of the blue started doing something. Yeah. So when you claim justice, judgment, and punishment on things which are done like this, God can show you what was done. You understand? This is extremely important. It doesn't mean necessarily that instantly God will leave everything aside and will go and, I don't know, kill that person. It doesn't mean like this. God will not rush to kill anyone or send diseases or stuff. God wants karma to go to them, because if they pay karma, then the darkness is being transmuted. Yeah. So whatever they put out is gonna go back to them according to karma rule. This is the desire of God. Why? Because somebody needs to transmute it, and it's not possible that we all transmute all the darkness which they create. We transmute some of it, but some of it, and they have a chance while we'll do the spiritual fighting and elevation for them to stop doing the harm, and they receive warnings. But if they refuse to, then the desire from the divine realm is for them to pay karma, because they need to grow up and elevate. It's not, at some point, it's not going to be a choice anymore for them. They need one way or another to learn this lesson. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Because it's already 40 minutes, and believe me, the last video, it took me 24 hours to upload, so I need to make short videos because of this. So the question from God was to tell you how to deal with this when this starts to be revealed to you, and also on the way, because it's not a short-term thing. Imagine that you lived your whole life like this, and there's a lot of bondage which they kept creating all your life. So it's gonna take time. This is a protracted confrontation, and it's a psychological warfare on you, and it's hard sometimes, of course. And my advice is this: focus on a higher perspective, on the 5D, on divine purpose. Keep always in mind that this is the solution. This is how you move ahead, and the rest of it is very personal, different from person to person. But as long as you claim justice, judgment, and punishment, and you keep in mind that you must break the bondage, then everything will unfold for you and will come together through divine guidance. You can always bounce back. Remember this. You just claim justice, judgment, and punishment, and you can always bounce back. And you always will receive help from God to bounce back from whatever situation you're in. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because it's already 42 minutes. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.